Germany, a nation still grappling with the ghosts of its past. When we think of Germany, we often picture a united and prosperous nation, a European powerhouse. However, the reality is not exactly as it seems. Despite the reunification of East and West Germany on October 3, 1990, following the fall of the Berlin Wall in November 1989, the nation remains somewhat divided, and the scars of their divided past are not just visible in economic and cultural differences, but also in the psychology of the people. A recent study found that 6 out of 10 Germans think their country is more divided than united, and in Eastern Germany, a whopping 75% feel like the divisions are still there. In this video, we'll take a look at why do these invisible walls still persist, what keeps East and West Germans from feeling truly united, and what are the root causes. Well, this is a story of a Deutschland divided by an invisible wall. Reuniting a divided nation is no simple task. It's often easier to separate than to rebuild. Since the fall of the Berlin Wall, the paths taken by East and West Germany have diverged significantly. Even now, 33 years post-reunification, these differences are still shaping the new Germany's political, social, and economic scene. Crazy, right? Okay, let's look at the East versus West Germany showdown. The economic differences become pretty clear, especially when we talk about GDP per capita. The 5 former East German states are sitting at the bottom, with per capita GDPs ranging from €32,000 to €36,000. That's quite a bit lower than the overall German average, which is just under €46,000. In 2022, the average yearly income in Eastern Germany is lagging by about €13,000 compared to the West. And wealth distribution. Well, in 2021, the median household wealth in Eastern Germany was €43,400, while in Western Germany, it's a whopping €127,900. That's a substantial gap. East Germany has higher unemployment rates as well. It's 7.2% in the East and 5.3% in the West as of July 2023. The divisions aren't just economic, though. Religion is another factor. In the East, the government used to push atheism and didn't like religion much. Also, Eastern Germany has more older people than the West, partly because young people moved from the East to the West after the reunification, and there were fewer babies born in the East. Considering all this, it's no surprise that many Germans still feel like their country is divided. A report indicates that 57% of Eastern Germans feel like second-class citizens, and only 38% in the East view reunification as successful, including a mere 20% of those under 40. To understand why these divisions persist, we need to rewind to the very beginning. Following the war, Allied powers occupied Germany and divided it into 4 zones based on their own control. The ideological differences between the Western Allies, US, UK, France, and the Soviet Union led to the creation of 2 separate states. The Federal Republic of Germany, West Germany, aligned with the West, and the German Democratic Republic, East Germany, aligned with the Soviet bloc. East Germany's communist government took a decisive step in 1952 by closing its borders with the West. The lone exception allowing relative freedom of movement from east to west was Berlin. However, in 1961, responding to a significant number of defections, the GDR, German Democratic Republic government under communist rule, erected the notorious Berlin Wall. This event transformed the historic capital of the German Empire into a living symbol of global political division that influenced world politics for decades. East versus West, capitalism versus communism, NATO versus the Warsaw Pact. The physical manifestation of this division extended beyond Berlin, turning into a wall in some areas and fences with watchtowers and armed soldiers in others. This was no mere show of force. The soldiers stationed along the border had clear orders to shoot anyone attempting to escape. The separation took various forms, including double gates with central areas fortified with concertina wire. Astonishingly, nearly 1.5 million anti-personnel mines were scattered along the border. This division wasn't just physical, it contributed to an economic, political, and most importantly, a social wound. Imagine the impact overnight. 44,000 soldiers from the German Democratic Republic were tasked with keeping the German people apart. Their mission was clear: avoid any contact between the two sides. This social wound stemmed deep in the psychology of people and left its mark on the future, echoing through the years to today. Even 33 years after reunification, somehow these disparities persist, influencing the political, social, and economic landscape of the newly unified Germany. Surprisingly, there is a lingering mistrust and suspicion between East and West Germany. For instance, many East Germans feel underrepresented in political and judicial institutions, fostering a sense of inequality, because 8 out of 10 judges and prosecutors in the East grew up in the West, and major companies and research centers are predominantly located in the West. The political divide is also evident in election results, where the right-wing Alternative for Germany and the left-wing Die Linke parties neatly demarcate the historical border between East and West Germany. Even in Berlin, the areas supporting these parties align precisely with the former East Berlin, which was under communist control. The question arises, why do these differences influence voting preferences? One significant factor is the enduring divergence in societal perspectives between East and West Germans. Take immigration, for example. The success of alternative parties in the East is tied to a rejection of Angela Merkel's refugee policies. East Germans with less historical experience with immigration view this influx with suspicion, contributing to anti-immigration sentiments. It's important to clarify that persistent differences don't imply that Western Germany is a utopia and the eastern states a wasteland. There is significant variation between regions, and inequality extends beyond the East-West axis. Despite this complexity, over the decades since reunification, the government has injected a substantial $2 trillion into the eastern states through initiatives such as social benefits and infrastructure upgrades. Yet demographics tell a different story. Initially, East Germany struggled with outdated transportation networks, prompting a substantial investment from West Germany. This infusion, funded by the taxes of West Germans and European funds, resulted in the construction of 2,000 kilometers of new roads and a revamped railroad network, amounting to a hefty 30 billion euros. However, this generosity stirred controversy as it left West Germany with inferior infrastructure, particularly in railroads. The rationale behind this extensive investment was not just about bridging the geographical gap. It aimed to facilitate the industrialization of the former communist republic, narrowing economic disparities in terms of production and wages. The German reunification process, including infrastructure, development, and privatization, was a costly experiment, but it brings a shift in Germany's industrial landscape. The early years saw a significant migration from east to west, but by the mid-20s, this trend had reversed, with some movement back to the east. Chancellor Olaf Scholz declared Eastern Germany as one of Europe's most attractive economic regions in 2022. Notably, Tesla opened its first European manufacturing site in Brandenburg, and Saxony has emerged as a semiconductor hub, producing 1 in 3 microchips in Europe. Intel is planning to build a multi-billion euro microchip plant in Magdeburg. However, despite these economic gains, Germany's unity is not perfect. Clearly, there is more work to be done, not only on the economic front, but also socially and culturally. What do you think? Will Germany ever truly be one nation again? Tell us in the comments and hit the subscribe button. Thanks for watching.